4. Again, our scripture meditation for this evening is Revelation chapter 3, verse 2 and verse 4. In recent years, advocacy groups have lobbied for prison reform. They hold to the position that the justice system unfairly punishes disadvantaged segments of the population. Included in this group are minorities, poor people who cannot pay bail or afford adequate defenses, and those who are further criminalized by technicalities and parole violations. Arguments have been made in regards to allowing judges more discretion in sentencing guidelines, as well as pushing to radically reform the bail system. Barry Scheck, known for working the O.J. Simpson trial, serves as a co-founder of the Innocence Project. That initiative helps to exonerate innocent inmates by working within the law to bring justice to individuals unjustly convicted and incarcerated. Innocent inmates hope for exoneration by working with Scheck's team to introduce DNA analysis, admit new evidence into court, highlighting prosecutorial misconduct, exposing witness tampering, and other legal maneuvers. Every time a wrongly convicted person gains freedom, it provides a celebratory experience for those exonerated. It provides celebration for their family and for the Innocence Project team that worked the case. Understandably, we empathize with those who were unfairly convicted of crimes that they did not commit. No amount of money can give them back the years of time spent in the system. Without their specific experience, we too profane the idea of being blamed for something we did not do. Being accused, and worse, being punished for something that you are not guilty of brings about great frustration. Even when proven innocent, a wrongly accused person can continue to suffer stress from having been victimized by an accusation. Unfortunately, the stigma of skepticism and suspicion that others attach to the accused compounds the feelings of frustration. Hopefully, none on this call will ever stand before a judge or experience the victimization of an unjust and unfair legal system. We will, however, stand before the judge of all creation. Matthew chapter 12, that is, verse 36, says, "But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment." Romans chapter 14, verse 12, "So then every one of us shall give an account of himself to God." 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every one may receive the things done in his body according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad." These verses need to be read slowly and understood thoroughly. Not only do they highlight the judgment awaiting every soul, these verses also emphasize the individual nature of that judgment. No one will be ushered into heaven on the faith or good deeds of someone else. Neither will anyone miss heaven because of the sins of someone other than their own. Simply put, the judiciary of heaven will not and cannot be unjust in distributing divine justice. Every man's eternal reward or punishment will be justly determined without the need for lawyers such as Barry Scheck to prove otherwise. Therefore, an urgent plea to those in the church, as well as for those who have strayed from the church, needs to be made. The matter of your soul supersedes the importance of any concern of your life. Sometimes you may feel like so many others in regards to the state of the Lord's church. Whether it is a specific local congregation or a general observation of the universal church, the view often reveals disheartening realities. Without trying to be critical, hypocritical, or judgmental, a concerned saint cannot help but to take notice of the decline in church attendance, the increase of church splits, the lack of fervency of the Spirit, and the abundance of contrary spirits. It seems so often to be a place emphasizing entertainment more than edification. Leaders, in too many instances, concern themselves with buying or building buildings as opposed to developing the people who Peter refers to as the lively stones of God's spiritual house in 1 Peter 2, verse 5. As such, the remnant of the faithful find themselves experiencing the exhausting fatigue of frustrated faith. That fatigue, that frustration, the challenge to one's faith makes it easier to stay home, to not give, to not support, and to disengage from the fellowship. Those wearied by what they see, or better yet, wearied by what they do not see, justify this behavior by saying they believe in God, but they struggle with the institution of church. This view puts the soul in tremendous jeopardy. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 2 and also verse 4 offers a needed stimulus to anyone whose faith may be experiencing a spiritual recession. Here the words is penned by John the Revelator, but spoken by Jesus the Christ. Verse 2, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found your works perfect before God. Verse 4, you have a few names even in Sardis, who have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. That statement holds more value than the government stimulus check, the winning lottery number, and the collective wealth of the world's richest people combined. In case it's not clear, the Lord's assessment of Sardis provides tremendous encouragement to those who remain faithful. Overall, the church at Sardis did not have the favor of God, nor the fervor of his Spirit. In a matter of speaking, it was on life support. The latter part of verse 1 says, you have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Again, verse 2 mentions that what little life is left in that church is itself about to die. Hence the phrase, strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. Even though the state of the church as a whole did not meet with God's approval, there were individuals in the church who demonstrated faith and faithfulness. They saw the immaturity in others. They saw the lack of fervency of God's Spirit in that church. They saw the carnality. Yet those individuals did not allow others to cause them to lose their reward. Did you hear God's message of encouragement to the faithful? You have a few names even in Sardis, even in that dead church, even in that church where that which was remaining was in effect ready to die, even there in Sardis, who have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. Barry Sheck would love this. God does not eternally doom the innocent because of the guilty. His system of jurisprudence is fair, just, and righteous. That's encouraging, but it's also an admonition. Do not abandon church because of what may be seen in others. Do not lose your reward because others cast away their faith. Do not run away from the Lord because some in the church walk with the devil. Too many times, well-intended saints allow no good ain'ts to redefine their God relationship. Always be mindful of this passage because it clearly states that God is mindful of us individually. Now, admittedly, the church experience has not always been kind to everyone. Some within her boundaries have wreaked havoc by the demonic influences they have come under. Innocent souls have found themselves victimized by Satan's agents. If ever there existed a place where Satan would perform his most diabolical work, it would be the place where the God of heaven presents himself to meet mortal man. Therefore, it should come as no surprise to witness the presence of the enemy at the church. There he hopes to snatch the souls of men and women from the loving arms of God. He need not act in places of sin and ill repute. Those places already bow to iniquity. So Satan disguises himself as an angel of light in the very place of those who are God's earthly lights, so that he can deceive and draw them from light to darkness. That's why God said to Sardis and to us that he will reward those who live worthy of him. Let others do what they will do, but do not ever allow an imperfect church to keep you from the perfect path to glory. May God bless you to strengthen your faith and be faithful even when others cast away their faith. Tune in tomorrow night and every night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, for another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister with Words from the Master.